You saw the title, you saw the thumbnail, you know what we're doing today. We're building a village. Well, actually, we're building part of a city in my Minecraft world because I'm building a really massive city and this is going to be part of it. Anyway, moving on. We got to get all the landscaping done so we can get a nice, flat, blank canvas that we can actually start building these buildings. And then here, we're going to build a wall eventually for that one, a little retaining wall. But next, we gotta start focusing on the roads that we can get from place to place. And so building this road, I built it right off the bridge that we built in a previous video so that we can get to the other side because I have that little building right there with Skeleton Farm in it. And then I had to go ahead and plan out the road in the area of which we were gonna be building. So finishing up the road inside the actual city area here, we go ahead and get ready to build a boardwalk, which I need to go cut down some spruce trees for so that we can get the boardwalk going on the outside of the road area. So building the boardwalk here, you can see I just built it on the outside of the existing land, not in the water, but just on the outside where it kind of gets lower down to the water. That way I could go ahead and kind of have that walking around because I didn't want the road to go out there and all that. So yeah, we built a little boardwalk, fun little area to put outside the place where I can put some buildings, and now we can get to the fun part, which is actually building the buildings. So to start the build, I wanted to put a centerpiece in the actual town, so we're going to build a fountain. Now this fountain does actually have a double use, as I'm going to be putting a, what is that thing called? What's the rod? Shoot, what is it? It attracts lightning. Lightning rod. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. Yeah, I'm putting a lightning rod on top of it, so that way, buildings won't burn down within this area because the lightning rod will be able to get the lightning instead of the buildings, obviously. And this is really fun to make. I don't design a lot of stuff like this, so this is pretty interesting, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. But now that we finished this up, we can move on to actual buildings. So starting with the first build of this project, other than the fountain obviously, we have a horse stable. Now this one is placed right by where I'm going to eventually build a bridge coming into the city from outside the city. So I figured we should put a place here for horses so that people can have a place to put their horses and then they can go walk around the city. Now, I've been really trying to build better, I've been calling it, in Minecraft. So as a part of this build, I'm trying to use blocks I've never used before. I've never used mangrove wood before, so that was new for me. And then you can kind of see it, I put logs in the planks and stripped them. So from a distance, it looks the exact same as if it was all planks. But when you're close up, you see these different textures in it. And it kind of adds some nice bit of detail in there, which I thought was really cool. And I did work really hard on this build, and it was really fun to make, and I'm just going to let you enjoy it and watch it till the end. finishing up the build with these little bits of details like the water and the gates. You know, I was really happy with this build. This is how it turned out. First build of the area, really nice, really happy with it. I hope you like it too. Now let's move on to the next build. So now onto the second build of this area here. This one's pretty basic. I didn't do anything special with it like the other build. Same thing, sort of the story. I did a little bit of a nice detail on the side of it, which you'll see in a minute. And it does serve a purpose, which again you'll see in a minute. This is nothing crazy, just andesite, oak, and some stone for the roof, which you'll see in a minute. But yeah, I'll talk to you in a minute for that next detail. Now this is that side detail I was telling you about. Drum roll please. It's gonna be a chicken coop. So yeah. Which I'm gonna put a minecart under, which we'll do that in a minute, to go ahead and actually collect the chicken eggs from the chicken coop. So right here I had to run back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I could go ahead and get the mud. Because I honestly should have done this beforehand, but decided to just do it right there and there. And then went ahead and built up a little coop in there, and then I went ahead and gated it off with a bunch of trapdoors, so that chicken just couldn't get out. Now that that's done, we're going to go ahead, this is how the build turned out, we're going to go ahead and start building the actual chicken coop. Building the chicken coop, obviously we have to start actually, well not building chicken coop, building the collection system for chicken coop. We have to start by digging out the area where the minecart is going to go. And then we had to go ahead and put in the rails, get the rails all powered, get ready to go, put on the minecart, make sure everything's working properly, and then we're done. We can move on to the next building, which I'm really excited for. But part of the reason I'm really excited for the next build is that I used mud, and I don't normally use mud. Actually, I've never used mud before, actually. So this was a new block for me to use in texture. It was kind of fun to go ahead and try and use it, but this is what it looked like. This was me harvesting the mud. Yeah. Let's move on to the build. So now that I have all the materials, go ahead and start this build. So I started by laying down a floor out of coarse dirt, you know, to make it look like it's, you know, walked around, and I didn't need an actual floor for it, so I was like, this will be perfect. Just trying to think about what this build was. This was a warehouse that I was going to use, you know, from like whatever supplies they get from the water here, like fish and stuff, will be stored in here. I do end up doing an interior for it, but that'll be showed later in the video because it was for this purpose that this build has, which will also be told later in the video. So as you can see, a lot of mud bricks. This is a pretty fun texture. If you see me replacing blocks because I messed up when texturing it, and I tried to fix it, which you'll see in a minute. Got really out of hand towards the end. I realized I made a lot of mistakes, and that was a pain to try and fix. I didn't use too many things in this build. It's all brown tones, very brown building. You know, which is fine. I kind of wish I could have used some more color in it, but I really didn't know what to put in it. We are 10 minutes into this video, so if you haven't yet, I'm gonna have to ask you to subscribe and go ahead and maybe click the like button. It helps me out a ton, and I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers so I can start making some money off this, and I can do it as a little side gig for me. So it'd be great if you subscribe. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead building up this area, which towards the end I thought it was, oh, it's all just mud bricks, so I didn't have to do any more texturing. And then I ran out of mud bricks and realized I had to do more texturing, which you'll see that in a minute. And I will talk to you more towards the end of the build. So moving on to finish the entrance of the building, I did these little archways with trapdoors, and then I put some lanterns out front to kind of light up the building. The build's done. So now we're gonna move on to the first house of the build. So you might recognize this build because I actually posted this as a short earlier, like a month ago or something. So this is pretty nice. I really enjoyed making this because I tried to use a lot of blocks I haven't used before. And so far, every single block you've seen, I've never used in a build before. Never used granite. The pale oak stuff was like just added at the time me starting to make this stuff, so I had never used it before. It was all completely new to me. Calcite, never used that before. And you'll see me use a little bit of diorite at the front to blend the calcite and granite. So this was pretty fun to make. I was just trying to make stuff, out of stuff I had never used before. Just trying to try new stuff so that I can become a better builder, which is what a lot of this entire thing has been. So I'll let you enjoy the rest of this build. I'll talk to you after. So this build is actually a carbon copy in terms of shape. It is the exact same shape, the exact same idea as the build right next to it, just with different materials, which I thought would be kind of cool. You ever drive around like a rural area with a lot of houses? A lot of times nowadays, those houses are the exact same shape. And sometimes just the exact same houses. Which is really interesting. Like, I remember I drove down the street on my way home from school recently, and I was paying attention to the houses, because I've started doing that recently, like getting build inspiration. And I was looking at them, and they were the exact same houses over and over again, just different colors. And I was like, that's crazy. How you don't really notice it unless you really pay attention. So that's what I kind of did here. Exact same shape of house, just different colors, with the exact same ideas. It even has the same porch and stuff. You know, just the exact same house. So, this was fun to build. That's all I have to say about this one. So, I'll see you in the next one. So this is a quick one because I did the YouTuber goof and I forgot to press record until I only had the roof left. But I do have a little special for you. We're doing the interior on this one, so we get to go see that in a second. But yeah, this is a pretty basic build. There's nothing special about it on the outside. It's really just like the interior that I did. So I was thinking about like this Main Street area with the fountain. And I was like, these should be like kind of like a shopping area, you know, like a tourist attraction kind of stuff. So I went ahead and made the interior for this one, not really thinking too hard, and I just kind of put some cakes around, as this is kind of like a bakery kind of shop. You know, they're not obviously baking the cakes here, but they are selling them here because there's not enough space to bake cakes here. It'd be cool to make one where it has like an interior where they're baking cakes too, but this is the build. Nothing too crazy. See you in the next one. This is another quick one, but just because it's a very small shop. Just something kind of crammed onto the corner there as best as I could. This is another one of those things where first time building with certain blocks. Never built with acacia before, but here we are building with acacia. It's just a very small square shop. I haven't done the interior for it yet, so I don't know what it's going to be exactly. As you know, I think I said it earlier, I will be uploading the interiors for all these in shorts. So if you are really interested in seeing the interiors, it'll be there. And eventually I'll tour the area and show you all the different interiors. But other than the roof, that basically does it for this build. I'll see you in the next one. So this is a bigger one actually, and I actually have it titled in my save file, Big Shop 1 or something like that. So you know, it's a bit of a larger one. So this one's gonna be much more important, probably something cooler than like a bakery. So I don't know, maybe like an apparel store or something. That'd be pretty cool. This is a pretty basic build. All materials I've used before. Materials I like. Tough, spruce. Can never go wrong with spruce. Literally the best wood type. You know, it's all basic stuff. Yeah, this is probably like the most basic build here. I really didn't do anything too fancy with it. Maybe a little bit with like the big window and the side door. It's like, it's fine. It's nothing crazy. I don't know if I've already brought this up, but I'm sorry for the late upload. Obviously, the video is titled I spent a month building this, which is part of the reason it took so long, because I did spend a month doing this. But also, it's been a week since I last edited, and that would be like a couple builds ago was my last editing area. So yeah, I'm very sorry. I've been very busy. I made a basketball team. I made an AAU team. So I've been playing AAU, which takes up majority of my free time. So yeah, I've just, you know, school, AAU, you know, it's all like, I really just don't have time to do this anymore. I'm not quitting, because I think that's stupid. Like, I hear people like, oh, I'm gonna quit YouTube because I don't have the time. Like, you don't have to upload. It's not a job. Unless it is a job for you. But if it is a job for you, you're not gonna quit because you're playing basketball. You know? It's whatever. So yeah, I'm just sorry for the bit of a late upload. And I'll let you enjoy the rest of this build. Okay, so this is another quick, small kind of building. You might notice a chunk of roof missing in the warehouse building right there. Don't worry about that. I like doing this one because other than the warehouse right behind it, I haven't done this so far where it's all stone instead of having a foundation. Like normally I like to build foundation and supports on the corners and then some sort of block in between that. But here I just did the foundation with the supports on the corners. Turned out pretty well, in my opinion. I also did a copper roof, which you'll see right about now. And that was pretty fun to do. So, yeah, this was good to do. And I'll talk to you next one. So I once again forgot to press record. We started with a bit of a stare down at these pillagers who were just watching me build, but eventually they went on their way. This build is pretty much entirely mangrove, except for the supports. I mean, not support, the foundation, entirely mangrove. This was interesting to do. There's nothing really special about it. It's a bit bigger, being out on the corner here. But other than that, nothing special about it. Just pretty average build. I'll let you watch it. So this build was a lot of fun to do. Originally I had this little strip of area here as two different builds, and I was struggling to like trying to like make up something that would distinguish this area from other areas. So I was like, what if I just combine these two buildings into one and I make like a big like trading hall area or like an indoor market area? And so that's what I decided to do. Admittedly, I could have made it a bit wider. I could have pushed it back a bit, but I do have plans for that area, like up more shops and like another thing that you'll see in a minute. So I was like, I would just do this and it'll be fine. It's completely made out of stone, as you can see, and that was interesting to do. I paired it with the pale oak, pale oak. Paired it with the pale oak because I thought it'd be fitting with the just gray tones. And then the roof is just a flat base with the stone slabs circling it. So yeah, pretty basic build, but I thought it'd be fun to do something different in this area, so that's why I did it. See you in the next one. So this is just a basic shed. It's just like a little shed area off the water. Thinking maybe somebody used it for when they're fishing and stuff. It's nothing special, just a little detail building kind of thing. Thought it'd be nice to put here, just to have something, you know, just something small, little detailing thing. Nothing crazy. But yeah, it's just a little small shed. Pretty easy. Nothing special to it. You know, what do you want me to say about it? So as we are about halfway through the building portion of this video, yeah, we're almost done. Just about there. Trust me, it's been a nightmare to edit as well. We get to this build, which is pretty basic build. I'm not sure if I love the build palette on it or not. The mud bricks, the dark oak, and the mangrove, which you'll see is the roof pretty soon. I don't know if I love it or not. I really don't. But this is another one of those builds. No foundation. It's all built out of bricks, so don't need one. I don't know. It's pretty basic build. I didn't do anything special with it. It's just another shop in the shopping area, and it's just kind of there. That's all I really have to say about it. So this is the second shop that's like a larger shop thing, you know, second big shop. I did a lot of interesting stuff here. So you see that little like porch area I built right there? That's because that area right there is going to be a big alley kind of thing. And so I have access to that from this build. It's a step up, so as you walk in, you go up those steps in the front in order to get into this build. So I did that. Yeah, so I just did a big mixture of interesting stuff with this build because I was, you know, trying to switch things up, trying to make things a bit more interesting as I was building these. As well, we have a 3 wide door, so a lot of trapdoors went into building that door. So, it's only actually accessible by 2 ways. And as you see later in this build, this is one of the few builds that got a purpose and a small interior. The interior is not done. It just has some shelves up, which is pretty much it. So, I'm going to have to finish the interior later. Not a big deal. But yeah, this build was fun to do. It's nothing too crazy in terms of colors, but the style I did with it was different from what I normally do. So that was cool. So this was just another one of the shops. Nothing too crazy. I did go ahead and go with a pointy roof for this one, which you'll see in a minute. Just like that little, what I'm calling the chicken house in the back, with the chicken coop on the side. Yeah, this was, just in our corner shop, filling up space. At this point, I had tried a lot of new blocks, so I was just kind of using those blocks and stuff, so there's not much to be said. In terms of this build palette, I don't know if I love it. I definitely don't hate it, or else I wouldn't have used it. But it's definitely not my favorite build palette I've ever used. But other than that, not much anything to say about this. So at this point, I was starting to just reuse build palettes because I'd used so many. At this point, I was starting to lose creative burn, and I was like, I'm just going to reuse the build palettes. So this is just the same build palette as the other corner shop on the other side. And, I do really enjoy this build palette. This is probably one of my favorites, especially like the extra detailing stuff with mixing in the cobblestone with the stone bricks. The roof for this one, I actually did not wait for the copper to age, because at this point I'd been doing this for a while and I was like, I just want to get this done. I'm not waiting for this copper to age. So it's not aged, but it will be aged eventually, which I'm pretty sure it's still not fully aged by the last time I was in that area playing Minecraft. So yeah, right now it looks kind of ugly, but once it ages it'll look better. So we are finally done with all these shops, and we are now moving on to this residential area in the corner here, where it's all just going to be houses. So this is the first house. Not a very crazy build palette, but a simple and good one that works well. And this build, there's really not much to say about it. It's a house, that's really all I have to say about it. But finally, we can take a break from building for just a moment because I found a dog. It was just off in the distance, so I decided to get some bones, tame it, and then I sat it next to the big shop. And pretty soon, eventually, we will build a little house for it. So back to building. I know, we are almost done, just a few more houses. But this one actually isn't a house. I know I just said the rest of these are going to be houses, but this one is a school. So it's a slightly larger build. It's a lot taller. It's almost as tall as the build next to it, which is 2 stories. But pretty basic build layout. As I said earlier, I started just taking the build pallets from other builds I've already done. So this is from the corner store, the first corner store that we built in this episode. Whew, I've been doing this for a while now. But yeah, we are almost done with the builds, and then we can get some decorating done, and then we are done for today's episode. So, enjoy. So moving on to the last couple of houses here. This one is the same build palette as the shop that we did earlier with the red roof. And actually, something I kept thinking about when I was designing this area was flying over it. If every single roof was just deep slate tiles, and even if every building itself looked interesting from every angle except above, I wouldn't care, because I'm pretty much only going to be flying over this area, except for when I'm stopping in for certain farms that I put in here later in the episode. So why should I have all the builds be the same roof? So I really tried to pop colors using the roofs, which is why I went ahead and added some mangrove roofs into the area to kind of help build out the look from above. So that's one of the reasons I did this, was because that roof. Another reason is just to look good. It was a house made out of the entire foundation, which I haven't done yet. And it's still the only house made out of the entire foundation. But other than that, I just built it to build it. It was a house, you know. Gotta fill in the area. And we will be moving on to the next one. So this build was interesting. It's one of the larger builds in this whole area. And while I was designing it, I thought about it taking up this entire corner here and having like a wraparound porch. But then I realized if I did that, the wraparound porch would be larger than the actual house. So I decided not to do that. And instead I kind of tightened it a little bit, and I added something off the edge there, which you'll see in a minute. Now this is actually the same kind of format as the other 2 houses that we did earlier, where there are 2 stories, and the first story is the entire foundation. It's a couple blocks up. That was just because I felt like it, and it looked cool, which is like the reason I made most of this. You know, I think acacia is starting to become one of my more favorite wood types. Not acacia, jungle. I don't know, something about it I just started liking. Like, I don't use jungle often, if ever, before this. And like after I started using this, I was like, I kind of like this block. So I'm probably going to start using it a little bit more often. But this was pretty fun to do. And I'll go ahead and spoil what's on the side now. It's a greenhouse. I made a tiny little greenhouse off to the side, which when we do the interior for this build, I will be putting flowers and stuff in there. to line up the area. Okay, so this is the second to last build, so we are very close to finishing up the building, and then we can move into detailing, and then some farms, and we'll be all good to go. So this is a smaller house. I wanted it to be that way, and then that little patch of grass next to the road there is going to end up being a garden once I go ahead and do the interior for this build. I meant to do it while I was decorating, but I just forgot to, so it'll get done eventually when I do the interior for this build, which hopefully won't be too far away. Pretty basic build palette. Now that I think about it, I wish I didn't do the mangrove right next to the mangrove roof. I feel like it kind of clashes a little bit. But other than that, pretty basic build palette, pretty nice build. Just a small house next to the water kind of area. Nothing to it. So the final build of this area is this final house where I once again did the step up thing where you have to walk up into the house instead of just walking through it, you know what I'm saying? You have to like go onto the porch and then walk in instead of just going from the floor into the floor, you know what I'm saying? Okay. That was a little funny the way I just said that, but whatever. Here we have, you know, another nice build palette, same build palette I used for the too tall house with the greenhouse on the side. I'm starting to really like this build palette. Definitely gonna have to use it some more. But other than that, just the final build, you know, I was just excited to get this done and get this video out to you guys, even though I didn't realize it would be weeks and weeks later until I actually got the editing done for this video. But whatever. Here we are. Final build. Just about wrapping up, and then we get to talk about some of the detailing I did. So to start off the detailing phase, I went ahead and for the buildings that I forgot to put pathways walking into the building, went around and did that. And then I also put a flooring in the warehouse and the trading hall, which is just a dirt flooring, just showing that people have been walking in there and doing stuff in there. So to continue the detailing, I took that little patch of area next to the warehouse and I built up some boats there. And then right next to the boats leading into the water, I built up a little area where you could get boats into the water. As a kind of like, these are, you know, boats that the warehouse owns and then uses to get fish and then keeps the fish in the warehouse. So then I went ahead and put some docks coming off of the like boardwalk area. That way, you know, people could fish off the docks, stuff like that. So I then worked on the back alleyway area that I was talking about earlier, within all those houses and a couple of shops. Just adding in things behind these houses that you might see, including a well for water, obviously, and then putting a pot next to it showing maybe someone's getting water from there. So for this next detailing area, I had to go actually thousands of blocks for one block. You wanna know what that block was? a dead bush. I went thousands of blocks for a dead bush. Because the closest desert was thousands of blocks away. Are you kidding me? Yes, I went and got like 3 stacks of dead bushes because of that. Anyway, let me show you what I actually made with that dead bush. So this area has to be my favorite spot in this entire city portion. It's a little garden hidden away behind the shed, the shop, and next to the big shop house and trading hall. And it's in this like little alleyway area where you can just find a bunch of plants just sitting in these pots and stuff. The dead bush is supposed to resemble a dead plant. And I just had a lot of fun designing this area. I thought it was really cool to have like a garden area within this big city that eventually will be massive. Like my low taper fade. Can't believe I just said that. But this is just like a really cool spot, and I actually just like going here sometimes and just like looking around, looking at the plant stuff. Like, it's just cool to me. Like, I just really enjoyed this spot, and like making and designing this spot was also a ton of fun. And I just really enjoyed just doing this, you know? This has to be just like one of my favorite spots in my entire Minecraft world so far. And we've only just started, so I can't wait to see how far this world goes. Now wrapping up this little area, you'll see it in its entirety. And it's just really cool to look at. Really cool to just kind of sit there. Just kind of like be there. Especially when I added the Spore Blossom and I added the particles in there. Just brought everything like to 10. It was awesome. But yeah, let's move on to the next thing. I'm actually not done with the garden area. These were last minute changes. I added these 2 little archways going in. And these are actually designs from Flip. I watched his video where he built a garden. He had these designs in it. I thought it was really cool. So I decided to put them in my garden. Just like really ties everything together. So now adding one of the purposes to this area and one of the farms, I built a spider farm using a spider spawner that was under the warehouse building. And I added some bubble elevators to get to it. So now I have a spider farm for all of my needs when it comes to like straighten stuff through the warehouse. I then did a interior for the warehouse, which is just a bunch of chests and barrels, as well as composters with a trapdoor on top, seeming like a box. In here, just showing that they're storing stuff inside this warehouse, like perhaps fish or something that they got from this area in the city of just fishing, you know? So that was pretty fun to do. I managed to hide the little bubble elevators, and I made a cool little interior while doing it. So that was fun. I then added a market at the front of that area, where it's just kind of awkward, those 2 little areas cut up with the roads. It just looks a bit awkward, so I went in there and added a little market area, and on the other side is a campfire. And that's what I did for that area. And now let's finish up this entire build. So as we get closer and closer to the end here, I built a creeper farm under one of the big shops with a little interior. Just some very basics, so I can get some gunpowder pretty easily. I then went ahead and built a retaining wall behind those houses, because I don't know if you noticed, but it was just a flat cliff right there. So I built the retaining wall kind of showing that the city flattened this area, and then kind of pushed this cliff kind of backwards using an actual wall, and then I add some mossy parts to it for a little bit of detail. Now for the finishing touch, I add a lighthouse off to the corner, and then put a path going up to that lighthouse off the boardwalk. And that wraps up the build. Now if you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to subscribe, as I am trying to reach 300 subscribers by the end of this year. And I'm trying to eventually make this a bit of a hobby that can make me maybe a little bit of money at some point, which would be nice. And I thank you guys so much for being patient on waiting for this episode. I've had a lot going on lately. And I will see you guys in the next video, where we continue working on stuff around the world. Actually, can I give you a bit of a spoiler? We're building a quarry so that I can get stone imported over to the city. So I'll see you in the next video. See you later.